Thank you, Orla. Tánaiste, how is it proposed to strengthen the Reserve Defence Force, and if you will make a statement on the matter? Thank you.
Thanks, Deputy, for raising this question. The Government remains fully committed to the advancement of the Reserve Defence Force. The 2015 White Paper on Defence is quite clear that there is continued requirement to retain and develop the reserve. The report of the Commission on the Defence Forces equally serves to reinforce that commitment. The report contains many recommendations on the future role and structure of the RDF. The ultimate goal is the development of a reserve force that can seamlessly train, operate and deploy on a voluntary basis with permanent defence forces both on island and overseas. In the interim, and recognising the critical requirement, on foot of the recent amendment to the Defence Act pertaining to the reserve, for the first time an RDF member has deployed overseas on a voluntary basis in support of the permanent defence force. A number of early actions were identified to progress prioritised recommendations of the Commission on the Defence Forces report. Two of the early actions that directly relate to the reserve, namely the establishment of a dedicated Office of Reserve Affairs and the commencement of RDF regeneration planning. The Office of Reserve Affairs is now up and running, and the immediate focus is on development of the regeneration plan. In the interim, and recognising the critical requirement to address significant and ongoing issues that can and will impact on reserve revitalisation, the Office of Reserve Affairs has directed its attention to a number of areas, including in particular around recruitment and the removal of hurdles that limit the enlistment process in the reserve. Upper recruitment and mandatory retirement ages for the RDF will also be examined, including in the context of ongoing deliberations on these matters for the Permanent Defence Force. And I understand that a food for thought paper prepared by the military authorities is currently with the General Staff for consideration on the specific matter of mandatory retirement ages. I understand also that the Defence Forces are actively engaged on matters relating to the conduct of pre-enlistment medicals and fitness testing, which will facilitate a concerted, sustained and much-needed induction effort. I am pleased to advise that an RDF recruitment campaign will commence this month with an initial application window of 2 months. This welcome development, along with other initiatives under consideration, will assist in ensuring that the momentum behind my absolute commitment to the regeneration of the RDF will be maintained throughout 2023 and beyond.
Thank you. Deputy Murnane.
Thank you, Tánaiste. And as you said, the Commission on Defence called for a detailed regeneration plan for the Reserve Defence Force with clear specific timelines to be developed and published, setting out how Reform Reserve would be operationalised and funded. But can I ask you, Minister, again, or Tánaiste again, I suppose more information on that, and what sort of a campaign, communication is your department looking at? Also, the Commission said that the establishment of the RDF should include, at a minimum, an Air Force Reserve of 200 and a Navy Reserve of 400. The Army Reserve establishment should stand at 3,900 with a 50-50 between combat support and combat service support. How many are in the reserve now? Has the number increased during 2023? And Tánaiste, what time frame do you envisage to achieving a reserve on the level called for by the Commission? Thank you.
Thank you, Tánaiste.
I think I gave a reply earlier to those specific questions on numbers. I think 90 were recruited in 2022 and a further 20 so far in 2023. And I mentioned earlier accelerating procedures around medical tests and so on like that. Because in the previous campaign about 1,000 had applied, but the follow-through wasn't as strong. Now that we have an Office of Reserve Affairs, there's additional capacity there to plan properly the recruitment of the defence, to recruit in a more effective way members of the Reserve Defence Forces.
Thank you, Tánaiste. Thank you. That's very welcome, Tánaiste, and that's so important. Again, communication. But I just want to actually bring up now about, I suppose we're so lucky with our our defence forces, and one of the biggest issues, Tánaiste, that I face regularly in my clinic is about asking about I have loads of people come into my clinic asking about the family income support scheme, because their wages does not give them a standard of living. And I know the pay scales are part of the public pay talks, I understand that, but can you tell me, in this year's budget, will we see an increase to our defence personnel? We would have seen a 25% drop in numbers in our defence forces. What urgent steps are being taken to re-envisage all this? And that's important. Tánaiste, I'm actually taking this for Niamh Smith, Deputy Niamh Smith, by the way, but I would see myself, Tánaiste, we are so lucky to have what we have within our defence forces. I know your commitment to it, but there is huge issues there that need to be addressed, and I do welcome the plan that you have going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy.
Well, first of all, I might be surprised at this stage in respect to family income. I'd like to get the cases, if you can show me the cases. Just in general, for example, the improvement in basic pay has been quite dramatic. In terms of if you come out of your leaving certificate now and go straight in, you're on 36 to 37,000. On commissioning from your leaving cert as a cadet, you'll be on 41. And I think as a graduate, after commissioning, you'll be on 46,000 starting out. We've just recently brought in entitlement for all enlisted personnel to secondary healthcare, private healthcare, which is a huge advance for any family member and indeed for military personnel more generally. And as there have been a number of measures additionally for the naval services, as we mentioned in an earlier reply to Deputy Stanton in respect of the personal tax credit and so forth. And we're consistently trying to see can we do more in relation to terms and conditions. But I will perhaps engage with the Deputy.
Thank you, Tánaiste.